Moving to the next part of today's lecture, we have the speaking and talking about my life. Also in this task we have to work with a partner, working in pairs. This activity we have two persons and practice this task. I'm talking about Alice's life. So we have here questions and asking about the information or details of Alisa, and the answers of Alisa will be according to the information that are clear here in these sentences. So let's check the tape script, then try to practice this activity with a partner.
Tape script 7.6. Alisa's life. You aren't English, are you, Alisa? Where are you from?
No, I'm Russian. I was born in St. Petersburg.
Is that where you grew up?
Yes, I lived with my parents and two sisters in a house near the university. My father worked at the university.
Oh, how interesting. What was his job? Was he a teacher?
Yes, he was a professor of psychology.
Really? And what did your mother do?
She was a doctor. She worked in a hospital.
So, where did you go to school?
I went to a Catholic high school. I was there for 10 years. Then, when I was 18, I went to university.
What did you study?
I studied philosophy and education at the university in Moscow. I was there for 4 years.
Wow. And did you start work after that?
No, I traveled in the States for 6 months. I worked in a summer camp near Yellowstone National Park. It was amazing.
It sounds great. And what's your job now?
I work in a junior high school in Paris. I teach Russian and English.
Your English is really good. Well, it was very nice to meet you, Alisa.
Nice to meet you too. Bye.
The correct use of prepositions and the adverbs of time, also the patterns of past tense, all these characteristics we can see them clear in Alisa's answers. So you have to check the answers once again and try to practice how to use the adverbs, how to use the correct patterns of sentences in the past, also the use of prepositions with the places or with the years, with the dates. So we have to work with a partner, working in pairs, practice a conversation with someone, and to make the same activity, but we have to make working in pairs. Work in groups, tell each other your life stories, ask and answer questions. I think we did this activity or this task in the previous lectures with the previous units. Moving to the next page, we have the other skills, reading and speaking. So we have to check the texts before, then we check the questions and thinking about the answers. So let's check the text before.
The first air journey.
On July the 25th, 1909, a Frenchman, Louis Blériot, became the first man to complete an air journey when he flew from Calais in the north of France to Dover in the south of England. Blériot's flight amazed the whole of Europe. People thought that such a journey was impossible.
The flight.
The flight wasn't easy. Mr. Blériot, a 37-year-old engineer, couldn't swim, so he didn't want to come down in the channel. He couldn't walk very well because of an injury to his leg, and he didn't have a compass. On the morning of the 25th, he took off at 4:30 from a field at the edge of a cliff. It took 37 minutes to complete the 22-mile journey. The plane flew at 40 miles per hour at an altitude of 250 feet. Everything went well until he flew into fog. I continued flying for 10 minutes, but I couldn't see the land, only the sky and the sea. It was the most dangerous part of the flight. I wasn't worried about the machine. It flew beautifully. Finally, I saw the land, he told reporters. Landing in England. When he got to Dover, he saw a French journalist waving a flag. He cut the engine at 60 feet and crashed into a field. The news quickly went round the world, and Mr. Blériot's flight was celebrated in London and Paris. He won a prize of £1,000. The crossing was the start of modern aviation, said Louis Blériot, the grandson of the pioneer. The first man on the moon. On the 16th of July 1969, at 9:30 in the morning, Apollo 11 lifted off from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. There were 3 astronauts, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins. The enormous rocket took 3 days to complete the 250,000 miles to the moon, traveling at 6 miles per second, 21,600 miles an hour. Then it circled the moon 30 times, giving time to prepare for the landing. The lunar landing. The lunar module landed on a part of the moon called the Sea of Tranquility at 8:17 in the evening on the 20th of July. It was time for the astronauts to rest, but they were too excited to sleep. At 3 o'clock in the morning, on July the 21st, Neil Armstrong became the first man to walk on the moon. 600 million people all over the world watched on TV. As Armstrong took his first steps, he said the famous words, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." Walking on the moon. Armstrong and Aldrin spent 2.5 hours walking on the moon. They collected samples and set up scientific equipment. Finally, they put up a US flag. After 22 hours on the moon, the lunar module lifted off and flew up to join the rocket that took them back to Earth. They left an inscription. "Here men from the planet Earth first set foot upon the moon, July 1969. We came in peace for all mankind." This flight was the beginning of man's exploration of space.
After reading and listening to both of texts, the first air journey and the first man on the moon, we have to answer these questions, and by checking the information and details in both texts, seeking for the adverb, seeking for the adverb, and the details, the dates, the time, the places according to the question words that the exercise asked by, and we have to check the answers, and also we have to divide the groups into into 2 groups, Group A and Group B, and the first group should seek the information and check the text. Number 1, the first air journey. and the group B should check and read about the second text, which is the first man on the moon. So we have to check answers in the next lecture, inshallah. And thank you for attention. And by reaching to this exercise, we reach to the end of this lecture. Thank you so much.